Fear of the dark.
My friend and I were having a sleepover on my farm, literally in the middle of nowhere, and there are no houses for at least 5 to 7 miles from us. We started having the usual Friday night sleepover, and it was normal at first. We were making popcorn and watching Mean Girls. After the movie was finished, it was about 1 a.m. when we went on our walk down the road about a mile or two. It was normal until I saw this 9-foot thing, and it was trying to act like a tree, but you can tell it was not because of its big red eyes. It had 3 eyes that were all blood red. I did not want to tell her of this thing imposing as a tree, because I did not want to freak her out and startle whatever it was. So I told her, "I'm tired, can we go home?" She was a little confused at first because usually I'm the one that is the last to go to sleep, but she soon agreed and we started to head back to the farm. After about 5 minutes, I look back again and I can see it following us, and every now and then I can hear a high screech like it was trying to sound like a bird, but I couldn't tell what about it sounded so fake. I tried to assure her that it was just a bird. As we made our way back, it got really quiet, like it's dead quiet. Not a single cricket was chirping. When we finally made it back to the farm, it was still quiet, but I heard the sound of the animals like our cows and chickens. We went inside and I still was not sure if I should tell her what was lurking in the woods that we were walking beside. I decided to tell her in the morning as we ate breakfast. We went to bed and I was relieved when we went to bed without any questions from her. About an hour and a half later, I woke up realizing I needed to go to the bathroom, and then I saw it, but I was not sure if my eyes were playing tricks on me, since it was pitch black in the room. But after I reassured myself that my vision was not playing tricks on me, I saw it standing over her, just staring with those 3 blood red eyes, so bright at this point that they brightened up the entire space of the bed. I tried to ignore it, but about an hour later, it was still there, and I stayed awake until it finally left when it was almost light outside. It left through the bedroom door, and I didn't see how it left. When she woke up for breakfast, I told her everything, and she was extremely scared about what I told her. We had cameras all around the house, and the most bone-chilling part of what happened is none of the cameras caught it leaving. I'm scared that it never left, and maybe it's still in the house. I'm a 20-year-old female that recently moved into a new apartment with my boyfriend who goes away for long periods of time. An older man by the age of 50 started becoming friendly with me, knowing that I was fairly new to the complex. I made the mistake of telling him I live with my partner and he's usually away for work for long durations of time. Almost every day after that, he came knocking on my door and waiting until I answered. If I didn't answer, he would leave literally after 5 minutes of knocking with no answer. One time, I was out in the common grass area playing with my 2-month-old brother that I would occasionally have over. I saw him coming my way and quickly picked up my brother to leave. The man started making conversation and asking about my brother, and he literally tried to grab him out of my arms. I held tightly to my brother and pulled away as he started to cry. I made an excuse that I have to go feed him and walked away. That encounter was very creepy and was the last time I went near that man with my brother. I'm extremely bad with confrontation, as you can tell. A few days later, I heard a knock at my door and opened it up without thinking. He walked straight past me into my apartment without even saying a single word. I just smiled without giving the vibe of being creeped out. I asked him if he was doing okay. He said, "I'm good. I just wanted to see what your place looked like from the inside." He proceeded to walk into every room. He checked all of my windows and commented, "So all of your windows have bars on them except the bathroom, huh?" I nervously laughed and said, "Yeah, I guess they do." I didn't know what to do, so I walked out in the front garden hoping that he would follow me out of the apartment to try to talk to me. I just wanted him out, but was scared to anger him because I could tell he didn't seem like he was right in the head. Once he came out of the front, I closed my door and said, "I have to go shop now. Sorry, the store is going to close soon," and walked off. That night, while hanging my wash out on the clothesline, a neighbor came up to me and introduced herself. She's a 34-year-old woman that lived within the same complex as me. I told her what happened and asked if she knew the man. Apparently, he had been doing the same exact things to her. She told her partner that she noticed that the creepy neighbor was doing the same thing to me. That was his last straw. He ended up going and talking to the older man, but after that, the older man only tried one more time that I know of. He went to knock on my door, and I went to hide in my kitchen for 10 minutes until he left. I haven't heard anything since and haven't seen him around, but I wake up at night panicking, thinking that he's planning on hurting me. My family on my father's side has always been a bit more in tune with the taboo, so I grew up in a very open family when it comes to unexplainable things. Here are some of the stories of the things that have haunted me for my 25 years on this planet. I was a very odd child. I always liked weird things and the unknown, so I dabbled like a moron. And as we all know, when you go looking for something, something comes looking for you. I was about 13 years old, living in an apartment building with my mom and stepfather, and I've always had insomnia. One evening, I was tossing and turning when suddenly I felt dread. I was absolutely terrified. I had no lights on and I was trying to fall asleep. In this bedroom, I had a double sliding mirrored door facing my bed. Finally, I summoned up the courage to open my eyes and roll over. When I did, I stopped breathing. Standing next to my bed facing the wall and looking outside was a girl roughly the same age as me with long black hair and a soft pink polka dotted nightgown, just staring at the wall, not moving or breathing. I stared at her for what felt like hours, but was probably just moments, and then I hid under my covers. It was probably about 15 minutes before the dread passed, and when I finally opened my eyes and peeked again, she was gone. This was the first and last time I ever saw her. I would always get home first as my mom and stepdad are police officers, so I was always alone. The apartment sometimes would feel so heavy. My computer desk faced the wall, and my back would be towards all the doors. These doors would creak and move all the time, which was whatever. But one day, I was on my webcam and I looked, and in the door of my parents' room, there was a black mass just standing there, existing. I, of course, panicked and looked behind me to find nothing. Things like this continued to happen to me throughout the time of me living there. Fast forward 2 years, I'm now living at my stepmother's house. I was taking care of her during her stage 5 breast cancer, so I'd often be home alone while she was in the hospital undergoing treatment. One day, I'm sitting in the living room watching TV, and from the corner of my eye, I see roughly 4 people in my yard walking up to my porch. I was weirded out as we lived in the middle of nowhere. But my stepmom has so many friends, so it wouldn't be so strange for someone to just come up. I wait and wait for a knock, but nothing. So I go open the door, and nothing. There's no one there. I go and look around the property and the gate, and there's no one there. I ignored this and went about my days. Maybe a month or so later, I'm downstairs again with Sky, our German Shepherd, just watching TV. Suddenly, we hear a slam from upstairs. It sounded like someone fell, got up again, and then fell again. I was alone there with just the dog, but the dog was with me. It took me a good 30 minutes to go upstairs and look. I was scared, and Sky was too. I wasn't going up there without her, and she was refusing to go up there at first. I checked my stepmom's room and everything was normal, so I go about checking all of the rooms. I finally get to my room, and it is destroyed. My clothes were everywhere. My bed was disheveled, and a dog kennel I had in there had the door ripped off, and it sat neatly next to the kennel itself. Needless to say, Sky and I slept downstairs. After that incident, things died down, and mainly I just see shadows from my eyes darting around and shadow people walking with me. At 15, 16 years old, I got real into the supernatural. So I started opening my mind, trying to contact things and see what all was out there. This was fine and dandy, nothing too odd for a good while. Just more of the same shadow people, doors slamming behind me, my iPad randomly taking pictures, etc., etc. Well, around this time, I met my first boyfriend. Somehow I was allowed to stay at this boyfriend's home with him and his parents on the weekend and such. My boyfriend and his brother were huge into the paranormal stuff. His brother dabbled in some very dark and wicked things. One night, my boyfriend and his brother and I are at home alone, just talking and hanging out. And I'm looking outside, and all of a sudden, a broom just yeets across the porch. I stop and say, "What the heck is that?" Of course, they were all giddy and excited, but I wasn't. I had an odd feeling. Later that night, we had gone over to a friend's house who lived up the street, and we drank and smoked and did all of the teenager bullshit. As we were walking home, I see something in the distance. It's right out front of my boyfriend's house. This thing looked like a golem from Lord of the Rings. I freaked out and shout, "What the hell is that?" and pointed. This creature walked in front of my boyfriend's car and didn't come back out from it. I was petrified. I didn't want to walk past the car, but I also was afraid to let him go ahead of me and me become engulfed by the forest and darkness we were walking in. We made it past the car, and there was nothing. At this point, I'm done. I'm scared, and I just want to go to sleep. My boyfriend didn't want to go to sleep, so he and his brother went outside to smoke and be boys. About 2 hours later, I hear my boyfriend say my name. "Why are the lights out?" I'm lost. Then a moment later, I hear him say, "Open the door. It's dark out here." I got up from my bed, went to the door, and froze. I froze my hand inches from the doorknob. Something told me, "No, don't do it. Do not open that door." So I did what anyone else would do and hid under the blankets crying. Another hour passed and my boyfriend finally comes in. I asked him, "Why did you ask me to open the door? And were you that high that you couldn't even remember how or where your home was?" He looked at me like I had 3 heads and told me, "I've been outside since you came in." That was the most significant thing that happened in that home. The energy was focused in the kitchen, as I heard someone say, "Help," from the pantry. but I ignored it. More years passed, and I decided enough was enough, so I closed my mind off. This worked for a while until I moved to another state. I moved in with my sister, and everything was okay for a week or two. But one morning, while I was getting ready for work, I heard a crash coming from my sister's room. I was alone again. I went into her room to see what it was, and she had a clock on the floor that she was fixing. It was leaning against the wall, no batteries, one hand missing, etc. The remaining hand was violently spinning. At this point, I'm in my 20s and I give zero craps left, so I slammed her door and went back to my business. Then one day, she opens up to me about weird things happening around the house. So I suggest we set up cameras, and man, it did not disappoint. We caught a hand appearing and disappearing on her couch as if it was changing the TV channel. Then we caught the couch being hit, the computer flashing on, then immediately shutting off, and something falling from in the laundry room. This activity eventually calmed down as I told her we need to stop and do something about it. Another year passes, and I got my first house. Everything seemed great, no bad vibes or anything, for the first couple of months of living there. Then one day, I'm sitting in my living room and I hear voices in my basement. I said no, I did not go check. So instead, I got a security system installed on all the doors and windows with cameras watching the outside. While I was at work one day, I got an influx of alerts. Garage doors open, garage door shuts, master bedroom window open, pool door open, etc. I got home so damn fast, I didn't call the police. I didn't want them in my home without me there since I had guard dogs. I cleared the house, everything was fine, and no one was there. I'm shaken, but eventually I forget about it. Until a few days later, the same thing happens again. I did the same thing, rushed home, checked everything, and cleared the house. So then I got this terrifying thought, what if I had a squatter? So I bought cameras and installed them in every room. I didn't see a single thing. The sensor still went off, so I called the company and they checked to see if something was wrong, but nothing. Everything was working just fine. Everything calms down eventually until one day, while I'm trimming my dog's nails, I hear thundering footsteps rushing towards me from behind. I didn't have time to react before I felt an icy chill on my neck. I looked scared, as if I was about to be murdered, but there was nothing there. So I got up, told whatever it was to screw off, and slammed my door. A few nights later, I'm watching TV in the living room, and in my kitchen I see a black mass peeking from above my cabinets. When I fully look, there's nothing there. So we did this cat and mouse game for a while, and it got to the point where I just got used to it. I didn't have bad vibes, so I just ignored it. Then I had to leave my home for about 2 weeks. When I came back, all of my pictures have been knocked off the wall, even in the dining room. If I hadn't had unlocked my doors, I would have thought someone broken into my home. So I just simply apologized for whatever it was, that I'm sorry that I left. But I had to go, and I'm home now again. Everything was good for a while until one night about a month ago, I was woken up. I'm in pure terror. Something is in my room, and I can feel it. It's a horrific energy. I didn't dare look, so I kept my eyes closed. Good evening, everyone. This is Yuri K, and this is the end of the video. If you happen to like this content, please like and share amongst your friends and family. Make sure you comment down below and give suggestions on how to make this page better. If you're new to this channel, please subscribe. It's free, and you can always change it in the future. Also, make sure you hit the notification bell so that way you can never miss our content. You happen to have any story suggestions? Please send it to my email, fearofthedarkstories@gmail.com. But until then, you guys stay safe out there. And remember to always be afraid of the dark.